Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the new normal. Oh, I haven't been normal the last few days. Apologize. I've been not feeling well, just kind of under the weather. But I have a dear friend here, and we are going to tell you a little story. Going to go through a little fictional story and get your thoughts on it. See what you guys think of it. So we'll be right back with the one and only I Am for I Am right after this. Welcome back. I Am. Good to see you. I hope you had, oh, you can't hear me. Are you pretending?
I'm messing with you.
So I hope you had a great Labor Day. I know we missed last week. I figured you were with your family. I was definitely spending time with mine.
Yes. Had
So
a good time with the granddaughter. She came over on Sunday and had fun there. We're watching her a good part of Sunday, or was it Monday? I don't know. It was all blur. And
it's like that on those holiday weekends.
yeah, they went to Disneyland this past weekend, and she's almost 2. She's what, 19 months?
Oh gosh, just little.
Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Well, 20 months. 20 months, I guess. Now September.
Oh.
So and they went to Disneyland, and there was a 10K run, or half a marathon, I guess, run. And the daughter did the run, and we're all excited and proud of her for doing that. So she ran it.
Baby ran
Disneyland and then ran the third day.
You're kidding me.
No, impressive. She's never run that far before in her life.
Well, I'm sure not. She's not even 2.
No. Her mom.
The mom. Okay, thank you. I'm like so confused.
That's what I'm here for, to confuse you in the audience.
Okay.
With my family stories.
Yes, tell me some more family stories. We're gonna do some. It's not quite bedtime yet, but we were gonna go over a story that you had posted over on the Mighty Lair at den.social. I really appreciate all the content that you share over there.
Thanks.
And
I haven't been as dedicated as I should be lately.
Oh, you're
it's the summer months and all that.
Appreciate all of it.
Well, go ahead.
Tell us a little bit about this story.
Yeah, it's first and foremost, for those in YouTube land, this is a fictional story that I wrote. Who knows? And sometimes they say fiction becomes reality, or reality becomes fiction. I don't know, but the idea behind the story, and let's just call this a rough draft, okay? And so there's parts of the elements of the story that we need to work out and figure out. But as you can see on the screen here, it says, vote to expel DC from the Union. So it's a political story, right? And all right, boys and girls and mom and dads out there, get your coffee and make sure you feed some coffee to your little ones so they stay awake for this political story.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, this was a $32 cup of coffee. I dedicated $6 towards the debt and $25 for the cost of government around the United States.
Wonderful. You're such a great patriot.
Yeah. But that will be my last one, because this cup is a lot smaller, and I'm going to have to cut back. So everyone else is going to have to pitch in.
Everyone else
government.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to be over here drinking out of this size one.
You go, girl. All right. So
they can drink their own.
In this fictional story, let's just suppose that the people of this wonderland called, we're going to call it USA or America. Okay. We're just going to call it that. And so parts of elements of this fictional story could really relate to our current state of being. But, our friends at YouTube like stories. They don't like real things. Like
Yeah.
Not
so truthful. We're just saying.
So let's just say that the people became very distrusting of our governmental institution.
Well, that would never happen here.
No, and nor is there reason to,
Right. Correct.
yes. And I love it because AI has a hard time with sarcasm. So so if we speak in sarcasm, YouTube AI is just like
No.
freaking out, it's like blowing its mind. Okay, so the year is 2025. We're in the future, okay? And there's so much discontent and frustration because of the debt and taxation without representation 2.0. And all of these things are happening that people are revolting, not like violently in the streets, but they're demanding a change. And they're so frustrated that the federal government just doesn't listen to them anymore. And in the year 2025, the national debt crisis has gotten to a point where it already, in 2024, in our fictional story, it already exceeded the interest on the debt, exceeded the military budget. And in 2025, it was approaching the interest on the debt because of what the Federal Reserve had to do with interest rates and all that. It ended up becoming twice as much or half of our spending, and so it became a debt crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And the people were, the normies in there were frustrated because they were learning that even currency, the fiat currency, was more like toilet paper.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than something like a hard asset, like good old silver or gold or gold backs or even cryptos. And they were becoming more and more red pilled. And in the year 2025, they went to their mayor's office, their county seat, they went to their state capitals, and they said, we know that there is no national referendum, but we demand one. Even though it's not in the Constitution, we demand a national revolution, not revolution, excuse me, a referendum. And we want it on a vote. And all 50 states fell to the pressure that the 50 states wanted to have, it was a unanimous thing. All 50 states had to vote identically. And it was to expel DC. Just like, the problem child that gets in the fights at school, we got to expel it out of school. Well, the 50 states want to expel DC in our fictional story here in the year 2025. So the idea behind it was, well,
then what do we do with it?
Yeah. What, and all the things that they provide for us, like, grandma and grandpa were like, well, where are we going to get our Social Security and our Medicare and all that? Well, the states are going to have to pony up.
Right.
And then people were like, well, what about our national defense? We need our national defense. We got to protect our borders. And well, that's not really happening already in our fictional story. But
in the fictional story, the new, the people in 2025 might want that.
Right. So, but people are scratching their head and they're saying, hey, wait a minute. No, wait, and there's this heroine in the story, and her name is Lisa. It just so happens to be.
Oh, wow.
And say, hey, wait a minute, Lisa. There are Air Force bases and military forts all over this country in all 50 states. Well, if DC is expelled for being bad and not listening to we the people and taxation without representation 2.0, then we should just keep those assets in that land, and it would fall under the state land. So like Fort Sill, Oklahoma, Lisa, would become a fort in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah. They recently changed a bunch of names of the forts.
Yes. We had the biggest one in Texas change.
Very interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, in our fictional story, the people are so upset and it passes. All 50 states pass this, but I'm jumping ahead in our story. So let's turn back the tape a little bit. So there was a lot of disgruntled people out there like, well, This is how we've always done things, Our founding fathers always wanted a federal central government. And it's in our Constitution, a president and all of these things. And the people quickly realized that, well, sure, we need a constitution. It the government is supposed to protect us from with our Bill of Rights, like the freedom of speech and to assemble and our freedom to to bear arms, the Second Amendment, and all of those still apply. A Congress, a representative government, a constitutional republic, a president elected with must be a citizen of 35 years or older, right?
Mhm.
And so all of that would stay in place, is what they were pushing back and telling everybody. No, no, the states will, instead of the states sending all that money to Washington, they'll still make those Social Security payments to you. And the Pentagon, well, I guess it'll become a museum for DC. Well, what are we going to do with DC and all those people? Well, it's up to the states. Remember our fictional story here.
Right.
Some of the states said, I don't want that SOB to come back to this state. They can stay in DC. They're talking about their elected representative, politician,
Mhm.
senator, or whatever.
They would never say that, though.
Yes. No, because it's always, Lisa, it's always your representative, not my representative, that
Right,
created all
right.
these problems.
Yeah, the
I'm going
others.
to still vote for my representative. It's
Right.
you, Lisa, that got to vote for somebody else.
That's right. Your side of the aisle, not mine.
That's right. So the people had some valid questions and leading up to the big vote of like things like Social Security and our national defense. Well, the 50 states kind of look like our hand, each finger, let's say, represents 10 states. Well, if we get attacked, we just
Come
fist
together,
up, right? And
right?
we can protect our borders this way. We still have officers, we still have generals in all these different states, right? We still have all the equipment. We still have the same people are there that are repairing the helicopters or flying the jets or
Right.
the boats or the ships, the aircraft carriers or the battleships, and you name it, the submarines. The nuclear switch. Well, who's going to have the nuclear codes? Oh my gosh, we got to have someone that's Oh yeah,
Ready.
that's right. We have someone with dementia right now.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to improve this with our 50 state secession, right?
Maybe a multi-sig wallet would be a better
Yeah.
idea.
Oh, good one, good one, good one. Which wow, Lisa, yeah, that's something we need to make sure we include in the story, right? The whole Federal
Mhm.
Reserve and the debt. What should we do with the debt, Lisa? What do you think?
I don't know how to get out of that one. I mean, I think they're doing a pretty good job inflating it away,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it goes to, I heard someone talking about the deflationary, uh,
Mm.
situation where, maybe it could go into something like that, then that leads to a great recession, but really the only way I see that ending is the people walking away from that system and just letting it be toilet paper and saying, like, "We don't choose to exchange in this anymore," but I don't know how that would happen.
Well, I tell you what, if it goes through, I'm not going to shed a tear that the referendum passes or not. Well, someone's going to have to read the story on Din.social to find out how it ends. But let's just suppose that we just tell the Federal Reserve, which just happens to be in DC, right?
Mm,
Even though New York City is kind of like the center of the financial world and
Wall
the New
Street.
York Fed Bank and Wall Street
Mhm.
and that. But we could just tell DC, you know what? Federal Reserve, you're in DC, you keep your debt. It
Yeah,
says Federal Reserve note on your
it is
paper, right?
private. Yeah, it's a
Federal
private.
Reserve note on your paper.
Mhm.
So why don't you just keep it?
That
Well,
would work.
wait a minute. That's not going to work because our school bonds and our bonds and everything that's been bought up by this hedge fund and that hedge fund to pay for the expansion of the school or a new highway or all of these bonds and debt that supports our economy. Well, we can't just throw them under the bus. Well, wait a minute. Possession's 9/10 of the law, and the roads, they're in Texas, and well, they're in Texas. That means Texas now owns the roads, and the
Right.
bond that was used to build some bridge over the whatever Waxahachie Creek, you know,
It's a
belongs to Texas
Waxahachie.
now.
Yeah.
I don't even
It's
think there's a Waxahachie Bridge in Texas.
it's Waxahachie.
Waxahachie. That's
There you
right.
go. You're close.
See, you're a hero. You're a heroine, Lisa. You're
I'm a
helping write
teacher.
the story.
I'm a teacher. I'm helping you, yeah, edit your
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. So if that were to happen, maybe it's going to be really. I'm going to tell you, there's going to be some hardship because it's change and everything's changed, and we don't like change, but we're certainly, in our story, we don't like what's happening in the federal, government, that
Yeah.
regime of
Mhm.
of people that seem to answer to all of the ugliness of special interest groups, and they answer to the intel superstate, the CIA, and all of these things. The media. Now, wait a minute. The seat of power for media is like in, CNN's corporate headquarters, I think, is in Atlanta, Georgia. Nah, we won't keep that one. Anyway, but wait a minute, ABC, NBC, CBS, not very many people are watching that anymore.
Yeah, nobody's watching
Even
that.
Fox is kind of dwindled. Gosh, I mean, Tucker and Glenn Beck get more views than
I
Fox
was
does.
gonna say Tucker, Glenn Beck, Russell Brand,
Yeah,
um,
yes, yeah,
yeah, that's pretty much it.
yeah. I think if for those people could maintain. Well, the FCC. Wait a minute,
Joe Rogan.
FCC is going to tell us what to do. No, they're not. They're
They don't
existing.
exist anymore.
They don't
Yeah.
exist anymore. Well, they do.
Um,
They do. They just report to the mayor's office.
oh, I
See in
see.
our picture right there, the new DC mayor's office. In
But the
that beautiful
mayor
white building that the
has
DC
to
mayor has.
wouldn't the would the, if DC went away, because DC is the corporation and they're funding all
Mm-hmm.
those charters, all those 3-letter agencies just would be defunded. You don't have to fire them. You don't have to, like, in the story, I don't know how you would change it. It doesn't become a town.
Mm. It's expelled. It doesn't exist. It's not part of
Right.
the
So
the the new America.
there's nowhere for them to report. They just go away because they're
That's right.
unfunded by we the people.
Yeah, I think eventually it'll become a bunch of museums in those buildings. I don't know. It's going to be up to the states to if they want to take these bureaucrats in, because there's going to be a lot of, poor Virginia. They're going to be hurting.
Homeless
They're going to be
bureaucrats.
hurting for certain. I don't think they're going to vote for it, Lisa. They probably aren't going to vote for it because they
Probably.
want to maintain the union as is. They want their bureaucracy. They want their bureaucracy jobs. They don't want to give that up.
So in this story, the only way for this to happen is there has to be a simultaneous or what am I trying to say?
Unanimous. Unanimous.
Unanimous vote.
Maybe so.
But
I mean, what
because
what would happen? What would happen if 48 voted in this fictional story as a referendum to kick out DC, and 48 voted yay and 2 voted nay, and the 2 votes were nay were, let's call it Virginia, because they have all those people, the
yeah,
DC workers there, and let's call it California because California believes in big government, and those
it wouldn't be too
Californians, they
next
like
to
their
each
big
other.
government.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too
So
next to each other like
yeah.
Maryland and
Yeah. I think if I was Texas and there was a highway, like a freeway, like let's just call it in our fictional story, I-10, that runs from, say, San Diego all the way across the bottom half of the US. If I saw a California plate who voted no on the referendum,
mhm.
I I think I would probably, in our fictional story, I'd probably say, "You shall not pass." I
Yeah,
think it's
it
yeah,
could.
yeah.
Um,
Who knows? Who knows? But I don't know. I don't know what would happen. But I could say this probably with where fiction and fact kind of intersect or across is there's a lot of people that would probably vote for something like this if the details were ironed out, if the authors could be a little bit more specific in the details and thought
Mhm.
this through from a financial perspective and all of those things. I think there's a lot of people that are pretty fed up with DC, and they wouldn't want, a lot of people don't want, say, Texas to secede, the Texit. They don't want that. But they're certainly not happy with DC. And so I think there's a lot of discontent and distrust and all those other disses
A lot of dissing
with
going on.
DC.
Mhm. Well, and
And
it's interesting because each state would be able to decide what they want their 2025 to look like,
mhm,
um, and what that and what that looks like. And when you were even talking about the Social Security and all that, well, if you aren't paying it in, I didn't realize that seniors paid taxes on their Social Security.
I know.
That's the most obscene thing I've ever heard.
Is it crazy?
I
It's
mean,
crazy.
it's
I
crazy.
know. It just ain't right, Lisa. Just ain't
Yeah.
right.
And
Just
so that, that in and of itself is a system that, you just cut out all the middlemen,
mhm,
and that's what.
yeah. And well, think about it this way too. A lot of folks are believing that it's not going to be around when they get to that age to
Right.
withdraw. And had they been given the option to invest it somewhere else,
Yeah.
they would have had a bigger return right now, a nice nest egg that they could do whatever they wanted with. Uh,
Right.
those are some libertarian viewpoints and concepts. Who would have thought? Libertarian. Now remember, Lisa, libertarian with the big L, not the little L, like the Libertarian Party. The Libertarian Party is like lowercase L. Okay,
Stay home. Right.
libertarians existed before the Libertarian Party, and they had it right.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's kind of an interesting fictional story, or um, thinking through what happened, because there are so many people that are discontented with DC, and um, it would be kind of a waste for the little District of Columbia to be its own nation with all those big giant buildings and, like, you know look at
Especially,
the picture
why
here.
would the other, if they're their own nation in the story, then why would all the 50 states be paying to support this other nation, a
It
foreign
wouldn't.
nation?
It
That doesn't
wouldn't.
make any sense.
No, they would have to survive on their own. They would have to come up with their own,
Right.
tradable goods. Well, you know what they're good at, Lisa? They're
Hmm.
really good at governing.
Hmm.
They could export their government and say,
Export.
"Hey, look how good we are. Okay, we had this issue with some 50 states, but it's really a small thing. We know how to
Let
govern.
us
Look at our
go.
big, beautiful buildings that we have."
Yeah, they have obelisks and
They could
all
be
kinds.
consultants to, say, France, or London or Paris or
Be a great
Beijing, or I don't know, you know, who
North
knows? Who knows?
Korea.
North Korea. North Korea might say, "Hey, we would like to pay you some consulting fees, Mister,
Yes.
DC, because you're
Yeah,
so good at governing.
that
Can you
would be.
give us some pointers, some tips?"
Oh, but what about all the parties?
Oh, the political parties.
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
I mean,
I
where
didn't
would
think that through in the story. I've just I've just never been a partying person.
where would
Well, I'm drinking coffee. That's
they
about
would
as
just
far as
be
I
then
go.
they'd just be Texans and Oklahomans and
Yeah. Well, who's
Kansans
to
and
say that we?
Americans,
Yeah.
like, that what would that do to a person to
Yeah.
not be able to say, "I'm a Republican, I'm a
Yeah.
Democrat?"
Well,
Like,
I'm just eyeballing this here, Lisa. But
like,
now,
confusing.
unfortunately, Alaska and Hawaii are not on our map here. But the center of these 48 states is somewhere around Kansas, just a little north of you, right?
Mhm. Yes.
We could do a whole new, you know, more of a decentralized autonomous organization called a DAO. Well, in our
Okay.
fictional story, we could write that in, and have a somewhat kind of like the Articles of Confederation, federal government with a little bit less power, but still have our U.S. Constitution.
Okay.
we could put that in our fictional story. I don't know. We probably need some rewrites on that one, but
That might work.
I think that I don't want to step on anybody's toes about the whole idea of our fictional story becoming potentially true. Um, but I also think that there's a lot of folks out there that say no, we are a nation of good people. We have values. We are a country, a culture. Our Declaration of Independence and what our founding fathers. We've been this bastion of peace. Oh, wait a minute. We've been the stewards of freedom around the world. No,
Yeah.
wait a minute. We haven't been doing that very well
We
either.
haven't done that either. I do have a question for you,
Yeah.
a hypothetical in our story of
Mhm.
what ifs. We're kind of drafting this on the fly, like a what if. Um, what if I was thinking about all the illegals that have been coming, and
Mhm.
if DC isn't there to give them handouts, then what would they be coming for? And if that was the truth, then maybe we didn't need to close our border. But then would we even want to partner, or do we need a border at that point if we're
Wow.
not giving handouts?
Wow.
And
Wow.
maybe we partner,
Well,
maybe we expand America.
goodness. Lisa, that's a great question. I
Maybe
don't
that's
have the answer because I'm just a lowly author on the internet, but um, I would think in our story, just because I come from a viewpoint of being a Texan, that most Texans would want their border secure on the south side, and most Texans would probably want only citizens of Texas or citizens of our. Remember, I'm proposing here that
there's
America
no
still
handouts.
exists.
There's no handouts.
Yeah,
Texas
exactly.
handouts. Only people that want to come visit and enjoy Texas
All right.
are coming. Um,
Yeah.
maybe
California could give all the handouts they want,
maybe
and we could
silver
just tell
goes.
the folks
Yeah,
that go
they can
across
all
the
go over there.
yeah,
Yeah,
go there, go there.
they
They
wanna
got
go
their
to
own
California
currency.
for handouts, but people might just be there, like, genuinely visiting, or, Silver may go to the moon, and then they want to come exchange
Mhm.
for things in Texas. Canada the same way, I don't know.
Now those military hawks are going to say, without DC and the Pentagon and the CIA, we're not going to have intelligence, and we're not going to know or see what's coming. Our enemies far and wide, China,
I
Russia, they
know.
could attack us. But I would argue that our generals that are not at the Pentagon would want to protect their own butts, their own asses, and they would, I don't. I think like my example, the five fingers coming together as a fist. I think they would all rally together. We would rally
It
together
would be
to
strong,
prevent
yeah.
that kind of thing from happening. But I know there's probably a lot of generals that aren't real happy with the Pentagon, and they would wherever they're at. And remember, voting is it's a legitimate function, and they are counted accurately, at least in our fictional story. They are,
Yes,
and,
mhm.
and there probably would be generals, and we would never know this, but there probably would be generals that would vote for the to expel DC and the Pentagon.
That would be interesting,
Yeah, that would be interesting.
because those aren't the Washington Generals, like the
No,
football
no,
team.
no. We could still have football. We could
Yeah,
still have baseball. We could still have Social Security payments. We could still have Medicare. We could still have all kinds. We could still have trade with Mexico or Canada or Europe or wherever. We still have
mhm.
all the ports of entry. We still have, the Houston port and the Oakland port and the LA port and the Seattle port and where all the East Coast ports. I don't think DC has an actual port for trade.
Submarines, I heard, are very popular
Oh,
there, but
popular.
maybe I read that in a book somewhere, I don't know.
And when the dust settles, I probably want to go visit that DC mayor's office, because I think there would be a lot of empty space in there, because DC doesn't have a lot of people in it, and kind of be a big building for nothing.
Once it's
Same with that
empty.
Capitol building thing. I'd probably visit on January 7th.
That's a good day. Probably. That's a good day to go visit.
Oh,
Let's see.
goodness.
I
Well,
love it.
anyway, so this was our fictional story, Lisa. There's a lot of things to figure out. Like maybe we'd want to have like a California Litecoin and an Oklahoma Litecoin because I don't think I want their Litecoins mixing with my Litecoin.
That's true. You could even do each individual state could have their own currency,
Yeah.
or a bunch of states might join together in
Hmm.
some kind of union, or I don't know how
I
this
would
could
have
go
mine with a brick. I'd call mine bricks with a K.
and have Kansas in it.
Yeah. Instead of like, the Russian, Brazil bricks
Mhm.
with a C. Oh, I don't
There
know.
you go.
But so anyway, it's kind of a fun thought experiment to play around with. If you want to read the story, it's on din.social in the Mighty Layer. I posted it last weekend, and we didn't do our show because of the holiday. So
Yeah, so this was
Lisa and I
perfect.
thought, well, let's go ahead and visit this idea and walk it through and see what people think. And a lot of people are probably listening to this and are very offended because DC is part of America, our capital and our Pentagon and our
Mhm.
you know, National Archives.
I don't think it's ours. I think it's somebody's.
Well, as 50 states, we could say DC, you're out. America still is
Mm,
America. We're
yeah,
just gonna move the capital is all we're doing,
right.
and we're gonna put new people in
And the
who,
capital was moved once before,
yeah, yeah. It
and
might
which
be a
was
way
it
to,
why.
it's kind of like we couldn't find the drain on the swamp, so let's just move
Yes,
and put new people in these positions and rethink each position, like, do we really want you know a Department of
and
Education,
FTCC
and
or
FBI?
the yeah, all those,
Yeah,
all the
well,
letters. Mm,
everyone gets rethought, everything gets
no.
who knows, if we, I don't know what would happen if we kicked out DC and the Federal Reserve and no central bank and said, well, central bank, you took a risk and you had fun, it was fun while it lasted, but
And we just
you
let them
you
walk
owe
away.
the debt now.
Yeah, but and then we just let them walk away, like,
Yeah,
"Go with your Fed notes and be gone with
yeah,
you,"
yeah.
and then the states get to start over with their, state treasuries and hard
Mhm.
assets, and they're hardworking people and their
Yeah.
land and the resources that we have here.
See, and
Yeah.
there's no CW, which is the civil, and then the other word
Yeah,
that
there's no
starts with
need
the
for
W.
that.
There's no need for that. It's all peaceful. It's all a referendum vote. We still say, as America, we're still the Constitution's, and who
Mhm.
knows? Who knows? It's kind of an interesting thought experiment.
It's like plucking out the cancer, not killing the whole rat.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll
Well,
see, we'll see.
well said, Lisa. Well said.
Alright.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for joining me. Yes, I loved it, and, we will see you guys back tomorrow. We'll probably be doing a late Truth Tuesday. I have school, and I have to work parking lot duty at the homeschool co-op, so
Ooh. Wear a vest. We don't want you run
I
over,
do.
Lisa.
I have to I'll send a picture. I have to wear a vest and the whole thing. Bye, guys.